This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And as Comey's making his rounds on the variety shows with his Opie Taylor routine, I wanted to get to a serious point rather than having to indulge Comey discussing important matters of law enforcement and representative Republican government checks and balances to get away from that and get to
your gall. Why?
Trey Gowdy. Well, that's Jim Nabors.
Oh, that's Jim Nabors.
That's not Opie Taylor.
Oh, sorry, Opie Taylor.
We're talking about the Andy Griffith Show.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I mean, let's get it straight. So here's the thing. Trey Gowdy was on with Martha McCallum on Fox yesterday, and he wanted to talk about the Comey memos. Remember how the House Intel Committee and the House Oversight Committee are being stonewalled by Department of Justice? So you got House Intel and Oversight investigating Hillary Clinton, trying to get the release of the Comey memos. So they're investigating Hillary Clinton while the Inspector General of the FBI is investigating the FBI, and Mueller's investigating Trump, and it's a lot of moving parts to keep track of. Trey Gowdy, though, simplifies it. The Comey memos that Comey's talking about, why can't we get them? Why shouldn't Martha McCallum and the public see them? This is Trey Gowdy's point.
What I'm most interested in, which is what Comey's talking about, there's no need for that to be classified. So Comey gets to talk about it, but no one else does, and that's just not fair to your viewers, and it's not fair to the president, frankly.
And since Comey likes to talk generically and disingenuously in the parlance of values, Trey Gowdy pointed out those Comey values and how they are differently applied depending on the target.
I think what's most perilous for Jim Comey, quite frankly, Martha, is he's written a book about morality and ethics and truth, and he's engaged in more relativism, I think, than any book author I have seen in a long time. Now, keep in mind, he says President Trump lied. He's therefore unfit for office. But he's really proud of the fact that his wife and daughter supported the other candidate, who also has trouble with the truth. And then when it comes to Andy McCabe, he's a victim. So all three engage in the same conduct. One's unfit to be president. One he hopes is the president, and the other is his friend and a victim. That's relativism, so that is antithetical
and he makes it
to
very
ethics.
clear.
And a man who is fit to follow us each morning at 9 a.m. joins us now for more on this. He is our friend Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show. Mike, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, Dan, Amy, honestly, you guys remind me of why it's so depressing that Trey Gowdy is throwing in the towel, because he's so tough and he's so smart, and it really, it just makes me crazy that so many of these good and decent politicians they just don't have the stomach for this much longer. And I get it. It's a terrible, volatile atmosphere out there, and it'd be a pretty tough place to be right now to have to walk up on Capitol Hill and deal with all the shenanigans that these guys have to deal with. But Dan, Amy, it's a great reminder of how laser-focused Trey Gowdy can be. I know him pretty well. I worked for a lot of years in South Carolina, so I've known him for a long time. Smart guy, a great prosecutor, and he's not somebody you want to have on your bad side.
And again, his real reason for leaving is?
I don't
pay's
think...
not good enough.
What's that?
No, pay's not good enough. I'm speculating.
Maybe he can do. He's figuring out Comey's going to make a lot of money on a book. Maybe he can. No, I honestly think it's just the idea of not being able to put up with all of the garbage and the noise. I mean, you and I, all of us feel it on the radio. I mean, we know how bad it is. We know how toxic it is, how personal our politics have become, how polarizing it is. And these guys have families. They've got kids, grandkids. And I think that one by one they're saying, you know what, do I want to go through this for another 5, 6, 7, 10 years? No. And so I just don't think, Amy, he has the will to keep going at it. I saw him last week, right before I went on vacation in New York, and it looked like he was acting like he had the weight of the world off his shoulders. I know that adage where he just looked like he was walking 2 inches off the ground. He was relaxed. He was happy. That many have said that about Paul Ryan. These guys are just thrilled to get out of the swamp and go back home and make a lot of money, Dan, to your point, in the private sector.
And also, too, it'll give him some time to focus on really settling on a haircut.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, he's really
good luck. Do you guys ever watch ID, the Discovery Network? You know, the crime thing. And I love that. I binge watch that on the weekends. There's something wrong with me, obviously. But there was an old case from about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, murder case in South Carolina, where he was the local prosecutor, and they interviewed him. You think his hair's bad now? You should have seen it 25 years ago.
I can only imagine. You know,
it was bizarre.
I mean, not everybody is blessed with perfect hair like Sean Hannity, Mike Gallagher.
Or Donald Trump.
Some of us struggle. Yeah, there's no question.
That's exactly. Well, I mean, after all, Jim Comey, who's got good hair, he couldn't stop staring at President Trump's hair. Now, I've been in person with President Trump, and I will have to admit, it does, as you know. I mean, you look at it, it does take some strange twists and turns. I don't recall staring at it like Mr. Comey did, but, hey, to each his own.
Eric Holder is trying to leverage doing all of the implicit bias training for Starbucks into a run for president in 2020. How excited are you about the prospect of a President Holder?
I just keep going back to Starbucks a couple of years ago, so arrogantly telling the world that their baristas are capable of moderating race relations discussions. I mean, when the chickens come home to roost like this, it's just I've got the greatest case of Schadenfreude. I love watching this. I mean, can you imagine? They're going to close 8,000 stores down. If you were a well-run business, you could handle diversity training and keep the store open. You do it in shifts. But of course, what they're trying to do is self-flagellation. They want to punish themselves. I saw the CEO the other night on TV. He really was absolutely weepy on television. So for one case of one store in Philadelphia, and we weren't there, who knows what happened. But at the end of the day, these guys now, of course, as expected, as the left always does, they're overreacting, they're overreaching, and it just makes themselves look a little bit silly.
But they're taking it out on the customers. I mean, we have to pay for one woman's alleged sins, this Holly woman who, by all accounts, she's a feminist. She would put SJW pins on her beret, and right. She even, she would even train male employees and say, watch the pronouns that you're using.
Are you sure you're not confusing her with Comey's wife?
Yeah, with the pink hats. I'm not sure though if America can survive a day without Starbucks. What are you going to do without $11 cups of mocha latte grandes? I hope we recover because it's going to be a tough day.
We're going back to the dark ages, Mike. There's no question about it.
Where will people go to hang out all day and stare into their iPads, wearing their Birkenstocks and their and their tie-dye T-shirts?
So what President Trump and this issue that's developing with respect to Stormy Daniels and the McDougal woman and Michael Cohen, obviously, how concerned are you that the Southern District of New York can create real political and legal problems for the president?
Well, they can. Of course, I've said it over and over, the deep state, if you believe in the deep state, and I, along with the vast majority of Americans do, it's very powerful. I mean, there are a lot of forces within the media, within the government, that are in a relentless effort to take this guy down. Meanwhile, as they're blithering about Stormy Daniels over on CNN, and they're blithering about Sean Hannity talking to Michael Cohen about real estate advice over on MSNBC, there's real progress being made, like North Korea and South Korea coming to terms, and denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and all kinds of incredibly great job growth and forecasts from the CBO, things that I think sort of matter. It's going to be a real crisis in this country if somehow there is real legal jeopardy or consequences for this president over a lot of this superfluous stuff, all under the guise of stopping him, of taking him down and stopping his agenda, because there really are millions and millions of Americans who are looking at their paycheck right now saying, well, I am getting more money. Kroger, investing $500 million in their employees. Over and over, you see all these economic and jobs numbers that I don't know what anti-Trump people say to that. I don't know what the never-Trumpers who are Republicans, I don't know what the Trump haters who are on the left. When you see all that stuff, I don't know how you ignore that, Dan. You can say you don't like his temperament, you don't like his tweets, you don't like his hair, you don't like his hands, whatever. You can't ignore the very real strides that are being made. So we're going to have a real crisis. It's solvable. There's a political solution. The political solution is that people who agree with me and got to get out and vote. You got to make sure that the Democrats don't take control of the House or the Senate, because if they do in November, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Now, I learned this morning that President Trump spoke with his divorce attorney who worked on his first 2 divorces, and he gave him the advice, watch your relation with Michael Cohen, but also, whatever you do, do not speak with Robert Mueller. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, I'm worried. I'm not so sure he won't. I'm not kidding you. He won't fire Mueller. I mean, everybody says he won't. Everybody around him says he won't. But let's face it. Trying to predict Donald Trump is a fool's errand. I mean, he could just get fired up. But I guarantee you, Amy, his inclination is to speak to him. Who doesn't he want to speak to? That's one of the things about Donald Trump. I mean, he'll go on the Weather Channel if they ask him, and do a half-hour sit-down.
Well, maybe they could just live tweet back and forth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Well, he will. I mean, just think about the time we're living in, guys. Yesterday, here we've got all this great news about Mike Pompeo meeting with Kim Jong-un. Trump tweets that out. A few minutes after he's tweeting out about Stormy Daniels' police sketch of the guy who supposedly threatened her in Vegas years ago on behalf of Trump. Now he's tweeting this about that too. I just guarantee you people are like, boy, I just, if you could just stay on policy, Mr. But on the other hand, as soon as I start to say that on my radio show, people go nuts, say, no, we want the tweets. We want them to talk directly to the American people. Listen, 100 years from now, historians are going to look back at 2017, 2018, 2019. They're not going to believe it. They're going to say this is all made up. There's no way that really happened. That didn't really happen.
And I mean, to the president's credit, he wants to catch Willem Dafoe and hold him to account for threatening Stormy Daniels.
Or Tom Brady.
Or Tom Brady.
Or her ex-husband. I mean,
put them all in a lineup. Let's go.
Amy, did you see the picture of the ex-husband?
It looks
it's
exactly
like a dead
like
ringer.
I know.
It's like a dead. It's like they're twin.
But how are you going to? I mean, I would not remember something from 10 years ago. Some guy who came up to me with a hoodie on, and
sure you would. She's trying to settle a score with her ex-husband, obviously.
Well,
there you go.
Dan, Amy, the joke about these women is the whole battle is they want to tell their story. Who haven't they told their story to?
I know.
Everybody knows their story.
I don't need to hear anymore. I got it.
Well, we know. What don't we know? What don't we know about either one of them, the Playboy Bunny or Stormy Daniels? They've already given the story, so it just makes no sense that they want to be released from. Well, the one wants to be released from an NDA because she wants to talk. Honey, you talk. You've said everything.
I got it. I don't need to hear anymore. You saw us, that ex-Playboy Maid of the Year or whatever.
He is Mike Gallagher, host of the Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays on these airwaves, 9 to 11 a.m. Following us, check out Mike Gallagher. Mike, thanks for joining us again.
Great visiting with you guys. Keep fighting the good fight. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.